My husband and I have 4 kids: Henry 35, Lisa 33, Elizabeth 30, and Sean 28 male. We bought a 6-bed, 7-bath house for next to nothing before Henry was born. Now that our kids have moved out, we decided to sell our house and buy a condo on the beach. Henry and Lisa both live near my husband and me, and I'd say we have a good relationship with both of them, but we're closer with Henry. He and his wife, Abigail, 36, have us over for brunch every Sunday. They come over with their little kids often, and we would go on vacations together before 2020. Lisa and I talk on the phone maybe once a week, and she comes over or invites us over maybe twice a month. Henry and Abigail live in a 2-bedroom house. Lisa recently found out she's pregnant, and they're looking for something bigger. They asked us to help them with house hunting, but housing prices have drastically increased since we bought our house. They wouldn't be able to afford anything more than 3 bedrooms, even though they both have good jobs. We offered to sell them our house for the price of the house they would buy, and they were elated. We drew up a contract and had a payment plan in place. We have enough money from the sale to buy the condo we were looking at. Lisa and I talked today, and she asked how selling the house is going, and I told her that we're selling it to Henry and Abigail. She was enraged when I told her, and said that we should have offered to sell our house to her too, since she's looking for a bigger place too. She didn't tell us this. I told her that Henry and Abigail need the space because they have kids, and she's single and childless. Then she started to yell at me for discriminating against her because she's single and childless. Am I the idiot for selling my house to my son and not my daughter? We sold it to him for around $1 million, but it's worth around $3 million. I think I might be the idiot because we should have offered to sell the house to Lisa too to make things fair. You are the idiot. You are essentially giving a significant amount of money to one child and telling the other children to suck it up. It's your money and you can do what you want with it, but your kids have every right to feel slighted. So far, you have given $3 million to one son and 0 to the others. I would cut contact with my parents if they pulled something like this, right? No wonder the parents are closer to Henry. They clearly favor him, so of course he spends more time with them if this is the treatment he's getting. Lisa's weekly call and every other week visits are pretty standard for adult children and their parents. Still, OP is acting as if she abandoned them, LOL. You are the idiot, OP. Keep in mind that you didn't just take less for the sale of your home. That discount was actually a direct and immediate transfer of wealth to your favorite child. The equity is his. He could sell the house today and pocket that discount right away. You could have sold your home for market value and then equally gifted the leftover sum to your children. The thing is, Henry and his wife could definitely find something in their range, but probably wanted luxury. That makes the OP an idiot, since it seems like the rest of her kids never had the option to go to mom about buying a house above their means. I bet my child that Henry's well aware he's the favorite, and he and his wife have been playing this long game for a while. The timing of their pregnancy is quite coincidental too. I think the childless aspect is being overlooked in the comments. The gifting of the house is a huge slight to the other children and a demonstration of favoritism. Still, it's clear that the favoritism is strongly linked to Henry, has 2, soon to be 3 children, and a wife that mom/OP likes. A childless single daughter can go live in some garret with a bunch of cats, I guess. I think if we would be flies on the wall at their family get-togethers and hear what favorite son and wife say about the others to mom when they're not around, we would get a clear picture of how mom thinks that Henry's nuclear family is perfect in every possible way, and the other kids are duds. I predict some plot twist in this family's future, in which Henry and his wife divorce. She takes the kids. He has to sell the family house to pay child support, and the other 3 ends up caring for mom in her old age, unhappily. I, 26 female, have worked with my coworker Josh, 29, for about 6 years. We spend 12 to 15-hour shifts together, 5 to 6 days out of the week, and we've gotten to know each other pretty well. He invited me to his wedding and his daughter's first birthday, so I'd say we're pretty close. He's voiced some grievances about his marriage and home life with me, and I've done the same. This past week, he invited me and some other coworkers to a dinner at his house as a going-away party. He's leaving our district to take a better position in the company. His wife talked about how happy she is he's moving up in his career and how they always talk about how he wants to do more. The conversation rolled into her talking about how they're so close and that he's practically her best friend and no one could ever know him better. I laughed since I spend the most time with him on paper and asked if she knew what he had for lunch the other day. She chuckled and said spaghetti. She was right and I laughed it off. Everyone appeared to be uncomfortable, and she once again reiterated that they knew each other best. I laughed and told her I spent much more time with him than her. It's crazy to think she knew so much. The night continued, but this past 2 days, Josh hasn't spoken to me, and when I asked him if I'd done something, he told me my behavior at dinner was rude and unfair to him and his wife. He hasn't spoken to me after this, and I'm wondering if I truly am in the wrong. Maybe I took the joke too far. I shouldn't have kept poking at her if she was actually uncomfortable. You are the idiot. Why on earth were you trying to prove that you know your coworker better than his own wife? What on earth was the one-upping her going to achieve? You embarrassed him. You embarrassed her. You made it about you, and you don't see why you were the idiot? Are you secretly in love with this man? Were you trying to drive in a wedge? I doubt you'll hear from him again. You are the idiot. You went way over the line. Like, what's your issue? It sounds like you're in love with this guy, and you probably started a fight within his marriage. You need to back off. I just hope they're not having an affair. Then yet again, I'm just overreacting. I know your husband better than you know your husband, was the intent of OP's comment. This whole story seems to be an attempt from OP to seek validation on that, since she spends the most time with him. He sometimes vents to her, so she must automatically know him best. It sounds like OP is jealous of this guy's wife. I cannot imagine what else would compel OP to act like this. You are the idiot. How exactly did you expect this to go? Are you sure you're no longer in high school? She is his wife. Of course she's closer to him. He married her. You sound like a terrible one-upper, and none of this sounded like a joke, but just an awkward attempt to make yourself seem superior. I'd feel massively embarrassed about this, and you sound insanely insecure. She disapproved you, and obviously, by how he reacted, he did too. Otherwise, you likely would have known how incredibly immature he'd find your behavior. My fiance and I are both Indian. Her family has been in the US for a couple generations, and I was born in India, but came here at 6 and don't remember much of it. My mom hates India and hates being Indian. She faced a lot of trauma, such as being married off very young, being treated badly for being a girl, being slightly darker skinned than her sister, and being trapped in a very unhealthy marriage. My mom left my dad a couple years after we came to the US and was shamed by her family. She now totally denies being Indian and wants nothing to do with it. We will have a big, mostly traditional Indian wedding, which my mom is cool with, but my mom wants to wear an evening gown and not a sari. My fiance wants all of the family in traditional Indian attire. This has turned into a huge fight, and neither of them is backing down. My fiance feels my mom will stand out and that she's being disrespectful by not going along with our wishes for one day. My mom feels that my fiance is controlling and invalidating her feelings about her identity. My mom's husband got into it with my future mother-in-law, and now everything is a mess. My mom showed me some dresses she's looking at, and none of them are attention-seeking or anything crazy. Finally, I put my foot down with my fiance and said that she can't force my mom to wear a sari. My fiance and future mother-in-law think I'm an idiot, but my mom is grateful and even said she can wear red, traditional Indian color, if my fiance is so worried about her standing out. I thought it was a good compromise, but my fiance feels like I'm a spineless mama's boy. Not the idiot. Your mother is likely already putting on a strong face to watch her son be married, surrounded by a cultural aesthetic that reminds her of past trauma. I can't imagine someone I love not recognizing that strength instead of trying to drape that trauma on them. I would keep asking your fiance why your mother's mental health means so little to her. Not the idiot. Your mother should dress respectfully. She shouldn't have to if she doesn't want to wear a sari because it brings her sadness. Standing up to your fiance and her family does not make you a mama's boy. It makes you a respectful son. If your fiance continues this, you should seriously reconsider this union. OP, forget that your fiance has no empathy and respect for your mom. Although this is a very serious matter. Your fiance just showed you that she will drag her mom into it every time you have a disagreement. Think about what this means for the future. Every decision about your career, your home, even your future children will be run by mother-in-law. You can't win. Run, do not walk to the nearest exit. It sounds bad, I know. I am a 28 male and my girlfriend is 26. We've been together for about 6 months and I've loved every minute of it. This incident happened yesterday. I have a passion for watches and I consider myself a collector. For context, I come from a wealthy background, and through that, I was able to create a business with a friend after college. Things have really popped for us over the last 3 years through a combination of hard work, over 100 hours a week for the first 2 years, and luck. As of right now, my partner and I both stand to each make about 8 figures this year. I'm doing well, but I also prefer to save rather than spend if I can. I was always taught the age-old cliche that money talks but wealth whispers. I live in a nice, relatively modest house in a great family neighborhood. It feels like home to me, so it's all I really need. The only things that I really put money into are my passions, watches, golf, and music gear. So she and I were getting ready to meet her parents, who are from out of state, on their way to their vacation. This is the first time that I met them, so I was a little nervous. My girlfriend works as a trainer and comes from a solid middle-class family. She said her dad is a very hard worker, but he could sometimes be tough with new guys. So we get ready to meet them at the restaurant, which was a perfectly nice place by the beach. I threw on a pair of nice shorts and a polo, along with my daily watch, which is a Rolex Batman GMT that I've had for 4 years. Putting it on is habitual. I don't really think about it. When we got to the restaurant, we exchanged greetings and got to our table. Everything was going good. Halfway through, her dad glances down at my wrist and asked to see the watch I had. I took it off and handed it to him, and he looked at it for a second and just went, "Do you expect me to be impressed by this?" I asked him what he meant, and he just says, "This stuff may be impressive to your people, but my daughter isn't some trophy for you to flaunt. I'm not going to let my daughter get close to you just for you to get tired of her and leave her heartbroken. I know you're kind." I had more than enough. I told him that he knows nothing about me or my character, and we left the restaurant. I got pretty worked up on the drive home. She kept telling me that it wasn't my fault, and she's never seen him act like that before. But then she said, "I guess you can't wear a watch around him." That got me thinking, was I the idiot here? Should I have not worn the watch since it was the first meeting? Was I wrong for getting up and leaving? I know I wasn't trying to prove anything to the guy. I was just wearing something that I always do. But then I start thinking that I must not have read the room properly. I feel terrible about what happened. Not the idiot. He's off his rocker. Wear the watch. If you were waving it around in his face, that would be one thing. But just wearing it on your wrist is another. People offended by this say more about them than it does about you. Not the idiot. You're in trouble here. Not only is girlfriend dad's a grade A idiot who thinks he can slap you around, but girlfriend believes the answer is not to wear an expensive watch around him? Like that alone would solve the problem of her dad being a tool. Very much doubt it. You are the idiot. I'm super rich, like really, really rich. I'm from a rich family. My business is going amazing. I bought a house. My partner and I made tens of millions of dollars last year. Anyway, I was wearing a watch and my girlfriend's father didn't like it. Am I wrong here? You sound insufferable, talking about your money, background, salary, and expensive watches in this post. But I have a feeling it comes through in real life too. Update. Alright, so this was actually a pretty quick turnaround. So the girlfriend just got to my house from work, and she was already on the phone with her parents on the drive talking about last night. So she came inside and put him on speaker, and he apologized to both of us for everything that happened last night. He told me that his sister dated and very much loved a pretty wealthy guy when he was younger. Apparently this guy constantly cheated on his sister. They're very close, and was incredibly emotionally abusive. Basically, he said he knew about my background and was okay with it. But when he saw the watch, it reminded him of that guy and all of the bad memories, and he just lost it. He said he's willing to give this another try, if I am, because he said he saw how happy his daughter was before it all went sideways. So I accepted his apology and agreed that we'll give it another go, and they'll stop and visit us on their return trip. He seemed pretty sincere and remorseful. I apologized and told him I should have read the room better, but he brushed that off and told me not to worry. Honestly, I couldn't be more relieved because I really care about this person and want everything to be as happy as possible. I appreciate all of the feedback and even the criticism. There's a lot I can learn from this. Thanks all. My parents paid for my degree out of college, which I was happy about. Cost $37,000. I was able to save up for a house, and now 4 years out of school, I was able to buy my own condo, and my boyfriend and I are planning to get married, so I've been saving for that. I now have a healthy nest egg, and I'm saving and investing along with that. Then last month they told me I have to pay for my sister's schooling, which was $62,000. I don't think that is fair because they only gave me $37,000 for my education and never told me then that I had to pay them back or pay for my sister at all. They won't admit it, but I think they lost a lot of money when my dad was stock trading and making risky investments since they sold their house right afterward, saying they wanted to downsize. They also got super bitter and weird with money around our relatives, including picking a fight with my uncle, who was always wealthy. No one would tell my sister or me what the fight was about, but now I assume it's because my parents lost most of their money and are angry my uncle wouldn't help. All my cousins had their tuitions paid, so it's embarrassing my sister wouldn't as well, which is why my parents are insisting I pay it. I told them and my sister I would give back $19,000, which was half the amount for my schooling, so it would be like the $37,000 was split between us. They argued that I should be paying for her full schooling, as my parents did for me, but I don't think that is fair, as I'd rather have $37,000 in debt to deal with than $62,000, especially when this was sprung up on me. I told them to either take the $19,000 as half my tuition payment, or I wasn't going to discuss it with them again. Then they called my boyfriend to accuse him of influencing me to be greedy with my own family when I should be paying for my sister's full tuition amount. I was furious and told them they accepted $19,000 and agreed to never bring up my sister's loan with me again, or I wouldn't have anything to do with this anymore. Furthermore, I wouldn't invite them to the wedding. My mom yelled at me and told me I was an embarrassment to the family. My sister came back alone and told me she would take the $19,000 and have it be enough. I told her she had to tell me in front of our parents that she would accept the $19,000, and she retracted what she said, saying she wasn't going to do that. I know she is hoping I give up and give her the money if my parents put enough pressure on me. So am I the idiot here? Not the idiot. You owe $0. If you choose to give your sister $19,000, that is a gift. Like, huh? That is not your kid. They are responsible for her and her college costs if anyone would have to pay for it. I completely understand that it would not be fair to her. You got something and she didn't. But life happens sometimes. Things suck sometimes. But you have zero responsibility to pay for that if you don't want to. And if she doesn't want that $19K gift, you have every right to give it under whatever conditions you see fit. And honestly, if they're in serious financial trouble, they probably won't stop asking for money there. And also seems like they only want to pay for her tuition to save face, as all your cousins had theirs paid. Can't she just get a student loan like everyone? If you decide to give her the $19K, make sure you give it to your sister directly and that your parents don't have access to it, so that it really does go towards her college and doesn't end up getting spent on any debts your parents might have. That would still be incredibly generous and is absolutely not your responsibility or obligation to contribute.